taxonomists and visitors that I need to organize it by genus. So this is going to change to Stropharia, Pink Stropharia, and then there'll be different species of Stropharia in here. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's what's cool is when we collect and clone, we can make individual beds of this genus here. And then it'll be the Bluets, the different relatives, and then Lepiota, and just all the way around. Like I said, it's really cool. And if you find something that you think has value, which could be a mushroom growing on a strange wood type, you might want to collect it and dry it and mail it or bring it by, and we can clone it. You know what this place is about is I have 200 mushroom species in the lab, 200 different species, and they all do something unique. So they're all gifted at breaking down a specific wood type, or something has medicinal value. And I'll show you mushrooms growing out of the heads of ants. You know, there's something happening. And if you notice that, you might want to email a picture and turn it in so we can get it, you know, copied. Mushrooms are like a flash in the dark. They show themselves, but the body of that mycelium is you don't see it for most of the year, right? So whenever you see one, you have to take advantage of that and get it into culture. That's why it's so much fun to go out mushroom hunting, because, you know, you never know what you're going to find around the corner. You really don't.
So you collect the mycelium or the mushroom?
I actually can do both. I've started cloning. Have you ever rolled the log over and you see the white mycelium? I've just trained myself a different technique to clone that. If I see mushrooms that are old and rotten, but I know what they are, but they're too old to clone, I'll just chip off a little piece of that wood and put it in a baggie, and then I can use a dental tool and just culture the wood, because the mycelium is in the wood, right? So I just have to soak it in peroxide and do the transfer. That's pretty easy.
Is there a way to tell poison from non-poison? Just a generic, you know, way to look at a mushroom and...
Fail safe. Poisonous from non-poisonous. You give them to your neighbor, okay?
I like that idea.
I got just the neighbors.
Neighbor you don't like.
Is that an official statement?
Don't write that down. There's no one fail-safe way. There is making a spore print. All right, we'll do that maybe on the tour. I'll show you how that works. Mushrooms produce spores. Every mushroom has a specific spore color. Every genus does, actually. So on this, you'll see a picture of Stropharia, and you'll actually see a color, an actual spore print on here. That I'll digitize it, but you'll see that it'll be like a purple-black, like a very black, dark spore color. If you're picking something and you take a spore print and it's not that color, is it Stropharia? No. No way. It can't be. So it's one of the steps. So it's a multiple, there's 2 or 3 things that separate mushrooms out. It's spore print color. If it has gills or pores, it's how they attach to the stem. Some don't even touch the stem. Those are called free gills because they're free, they hang free. Some are attached, some descend. They go all the way down. Has anybody ever seen an oyster mushroom before?
Yes.
They're trumpet shaped and they go down. That's called descending. They are attached all the way down. So 1 or 2, 3 features can get you to genus. It's actually pretty easy. You know, when you just learn those 2 or 3 things, you get to genus and you could be safe. All right. Right now I teach mushroom identification for the state. Is anybody here certified? Did I certify anybody here? No? Everybody passed. Because in 2 days I can teach you, this is for a DHEC wild mushroom certification, meaning you could sell to restaurants. And we learn 20 iconic mushroom species in the state that a beginner can learn and be safe selling to the restaurants. That's how sure we are, all right? So there's 20 very easy ones to recognize. Chicken of the woods, bright orange, you know, pores, no gills.
Little tiny mushroom, it's about this big. It's actually very pretty, but even when you kick it, it stinks to high heavens. It's dark, dark orange.
Dark orange? Is it a stinkhorn?
I don't know what kind it is, but I know where a bunch of them are growing.
Yeah. There's stinkhorns too. Does anybody know what a stinkhorn is? Do you eat them?
I wouldn't think not.
I'll pay you $5 to eat one. They're actually edible in the egg state. Now, when something has an egg state, that doesn't interest me at all. Egg state. It's like it's soft and it feels like an eyeball, like you dissect one of those in biology class, and you cut it open and it's full of jelly. Not interested in that. They are edible, but only if you're really hard up for food. If you're dying, go ahead and eat stinkhorn eggs. But other than that,
Just the name.
yeah, stinkhorn. I actually saw a bunch of them downtown yesterday on my way back, growing out of mulch. It's a mulch mushroom. Stinkhorns are actually good. They're breaking down the mulch and making soil. The problem is they smell like, rotting meat. Yeah, and there's all different colors. There's orange ones, there's white ones and brown ones. They're interesting.
What are those ones that you see in your yard and you just touch them and they pop and smoke goes everywhere?
Those are puffballs.
Puffballs.
And there is a section for puffballs here. I don't have any in culture, but we will be planting puffballs here.
What's the purpose? What is their purpose?
Purpose?
Yeah. I mean,
Creating.
They are soil creators, so they're a saprophyte. They're going to break down organic matter.
Okay.
All right, so mushrooms are classified as decomposers. That's how we view mushrooms on the lowest part of the totem pole. You are a decomposer. How does that make you feel? It's not nice.
Walking, talking dirt.
Mushrooms are actually composers. They make a lot of good things. They make protein. They're a food source. We can make fiber out of them. You can make fuel out of it. So they do initiate decomposition, but they also compose. They make things available for the plants. So this mulch would just sit here if we didn't, if these fungi were not here to make soil again. Mushrooms feed on the outside of their bodies. They sweat enzymes into the environment. And I'll show you metabolites when we get into the lab. All right, so in this bag, I don't know if you see it, it's kind of wet in there, right? All that moisture. That's the mushroom. That's all mycelium. You see the white. And what it's doing is it's sweating out chemical keys. And that's what it does in nature. When you plant this and we plant the spawn, it basically sweats these enzymes and it's swimming through its own fluid. It's swimming through its own stomach juice. Think about that right before you go to bed, because that's pretty interesting, It's swimming through its own septic tank. How romantic is that?
Just before you have a pizza, right?
Right before you have a pizza.
Cool.
Yeah. So it feeds on the outside. It uses these molecular keys, these enzymes, so it breaks down these big molecules in the wood called lignin. That's why they're hard and straight. They're standing up and rigid. They'll break those down using oxygen. All right, so they're combusting the wood just like a fire does. Did you ever think about it that way?
no.
Mushrooms are aerobic. They need air. They need oxygen, most of them. Okay? That's why it has a filter patch here. It needs to breathe. I can't just seal this thing up. It's like an animal. They create heat, carbon dioxide, and they sweat water, just like an animal does. Except their stomach is on the outside. So if we take a human being and turn them inside out,
Get a mushroom.
you get a mushroom. Does anybody want to volunteer?
Where's my neighbor?
Where's your neighbor? Might have to if you give them a deadly mushroom. So all this is we're spreading these little islands around. They're eating their way. They're burning their way through. They're creating heat. And when they run out of food, they produce a mushroom. Right? This is fresh mulch we got from the power line folks. If we let it sit there, is something going to show up? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And there are little sulfur tufts. They're little poisonous yellow mushrooms that might show up. They're very easy to ID. But I would take advantage of piles like this and plant something good, something edible that's going to break down, it's going to make soil, and it's also going to be producing edible mushrooms. Okay? After we get done with the walk, we're going to come back and make some of these beds. I've got some more frames in the trailer. But this particular mushroom is King Stropharia. It's called a wine cap, and it tastes like asparagus mixed with a little bit of red wine. That's its flavor. Or like potatoes and red wine. Does that interest anybody?
Yes.
Is anybody hungry now? I am. So we want to mix, each one of these bags will do about a cubic yard of mulch. That's a lot of mulch, right? And so we can just sprinkle it into these little beds, and we're going to make beds. This is a summer or spring and a fall producing mushroom. It fruits really heavily in the fall, so I would dare say it's just more of a fall fruiter, but it will fruit occasionally in the spring when that transition comes around. All right. These mushrooms can get pretty large. They're called garden giant for a reason. They can actually get, for every inch of mulch depth is an inch in diameter, cap diameter. So if we fill this bed up all the way to the top, how big do you think those mushrooms are going to be?
That's good.
Almost a foot across. Yeah, that's pretty cool. If it was 2 feet deep, 2 foot, yeah, huge, really big. The buttons are huge too. So we don't want these mushrooms in the